Welcome back to my channel with the second split of Challengers Northern Europe, now North but still Polaris coming up. I thought it was no better time to rank some of the teams. I have returned from my trip to the Mediterranean. I am wiser, I hope, definitely not richer. I do have Cairo with me to help get through this one, however. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I love how you've got wiser and I've just got stupider. I mean, I guess I'm in the same position as you because Celtic have won the league and I've decided that I'm going to celebrate it for you.
That's crazy, man. I can't believe it's taken, what, like less than a minute for you to mention Celtic, so we're off to a fantastic start. Let's start from the bottom of the table, though, not something that maybe you'll have much experience with in that vein. And who have you got sat bottom of the pile? Last time it was Apina. What are we thinking?
Last time it was Apina, right? And this time round, I'm going for an organisation which I think I'll rate their ambition, I rate what they're going for, but I think the ex-Yari roster, who are now with Metasport, have qualities to be in Polaris. I just don't know how much quality they have to stay in Polaris, considering the teams that are there.
And for the first time in forever, in the words of Anya, Elsa, whoever it is in the Frozen movie, I agree with you. I've also put Metasport bottom, but not in any kind of disrespectful way. I think this will be a learning experience for them. I think it will look very different to the split that we've just seen from Hukars, who were relegated, in the sense that there will be wins in here. It's not going to be an 0-7 for them. However, when you look at the quality of the other teams, the matches that they played in Eclipse, for example, I don't think they're quite there. This is a team brimming with potential. I'd love to see them higher, but for now, 8th is where they'll be.
I think like the thing is though, Hazza, is if they do go down, I see them coming straight back up. Just because that I think that, like, as you've already mentioned about the quality and stuff like that, but at the same time though, like with the exception of maybe like a sweet and sour, I just think that that first season is always going to be a tough one. I mean, we already saw a Peanut struggle, and I mean, even at the same time, we saw FMG go down. So I think it's always going to be someone, and that's why I went with Metasport.
Okay, now into 7th place. I will take the honours, and I'm going to put Formulation in here. I think this is a fair assessment of them. Demiurge, for me, is the pickup which could completely galvanise this team, having come from the team that, you know, we've just put in 8th, Metasport, refurnishing their entire roster, getting out of the sort of high payroll professionals that were looking to cause some serious damage in a league which was entirely dominated by Apeks. So not really possible. He's joined this team. I think it's a much better fit for him. And honestly, this is a team which could make playoffs, but they didn't last time. It's another Jaff roster. It's feeling a little bit volatile. Relegation is always on the mind, and it feels as if there are skeletons in the closet which they just can't get out. And for whatever reason, it doesn't make me want to put them any higher. While again, there is the potential that they certainly could be.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, mate. I think it's like the whole thing with NXT coming out of that off-season and in the first split. There's not much that we can go off of and be like, you know, like there is, you know what I mean, there's concrete evidence. Formulation smuffed that that promotion tournament, but we should expect them to, apart with the exception of obviously their loss to Requiem. So that's why I'm thinking 7th.
That's the thing with the Requiem game as well. It just showed that there is still quality starting to make its way through the ranks, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. The one asterisk I would put is it was a very quick turnaround from Eclipse. You still had Farden in the team. You're still trying to make sure that things can kind of work out with what you've got left, but still, it's enough to trump those teams that were pursuing Polaris up until that point in time. So now we go to 6th, and where things start to get a little bit interesting in my eyes, because the rest of this, again, like it was last time, is a real toss-up. So I'll give this one back to you to break the ice.
I think the first play-ins team, obviously, was we're moving into a newer format.
That's true.
Split number 2. I think it's still a respectable position for Apina Orchestra. For me, obviously, we're going to have to wait to see what difference it is from Split 1 to Split 2. A roster with brimming of quality, one that we thought would finish maybe a little bit higher in the last split. I don't think this will be a survive, you know what I mean, the great escape or anything like that. But I think, like, with any team and the opportunity to play-ins, I think it's still a great chance for Apina Orchestra to get like that playoff experience.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. You don't rank them to have made any improvements in the time off enough to sort of move them forwards, because this is a lower finish than last time. They were just outside playoffs last.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I just think that I've got a feeling. Listen, I'll get into it later, but I've got a feeling that there'll be other names here that will perform well.
Okay, that's fair enough. For me, for 6th place, as I'm looking at it, it's almost a tough pill to swallow, but I kind of want to say that NXT are going to be finishing here again. Yeah. Another team which have made the least roster changes overall when you look at it from, you know, season to season. Alongside Inapina, for example, right? They kept the core of 4. They brought in Drog. These guys brought in Maxim. And I think just, again, I'm not completely sold on the performances we've seen from them. I would have had them down originally to be like top 3. And they're another team which can go on a run. I think pretty much all of these guys are, right? With the experience that they have playing at the level. But it's a bit of a struggle to put them any further up for me at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, this is where me and you are going to differentiate.
Sure.
Coming into 7th, you know, like I think like, oh, sorry, 6th, because I think that's where things are going to start to get interesting. Because again, as you said, every team can go on a run, and every team has the quality to do so.
Yeah, right. Moving up into 5th, this is just about missing out on playoffs. Like you said, you already mentioned play-ins. It is the new twist on the format. Yeah. You get points from your placement in both regular seasons. Top 2 teams of Split 2 regular automatically go into playoffs, and the rest have to fend it off. So, you know, even though we've both put Metasport in 8th, there's a chance that, you know, they do still end up making playoffs with a pretty low-scoring performance just based on the points that they already have. For me here, and now this one is quite difficult to try and call, I think I might honestly, and I'm still deciding as we're talking, I think I might honestly go with Apina again and say that they do ever so slightly better than what you've said, but again, maybe not quite enough to get to playoffs, and they're still slightly bottlenecked by the fact that their identity is being figured out as we speak. I don't feel as if they've really dug those roots in just yet.
Yeah, and I think as well, if you move on towards the next one, like this is where me and you completely switch out. I'm going to put NXT in 5th. Again, evidence, no announced changes, nothing that would strike me as like they are going to improve. And I think at the same time, though, compared to other rosters, Hazza, a lot of those guys, I feel as if like they came onto a better game in the second half of the split, which I would have to agree with. So I think like moving into Split 2, the momentum's finally there. There's evidence that they'll do better, and again, I could easily see them finishing higher up the table.
Fair enough. We then move on to effective playoffs, but I think like you finished 4th and you had a decent split last time around should be enough to get you into play-ins anyway, right? Because there's only 2 teams that are going to miss out on it. This is on the very cusp, and last time that did come down to the difference of literally 1 win when you looked at what the scores were coming into the final couple play weeks. And for me, it's, you know, already looking at the names we have here, there will be a promoted side that makes that cut. And I think it's only fair that I place them right on the edge here as well. So I'm going to put Requiem in at 4th. Ianto, a name on that roster which you and I have had our eyes on for a while and always put plenty of stock into, so it's nice to see that he can join up with the rest of them here. Another 13-0 added to Jaff's record against Formulation in the promotion tournament as well, of course, and with some really exquisite attack side calling on Breeze there as well from him in an IGL role. This guy has played Sentinel, we've seen him on Duelist, now he's just cutting about on anything that's going to flex for the team and IGLing as well. There are some really nice names in there. I think Harambe on the Duelist is going to be a lot of fun. Toba's looking good. Dex come in. And again, these are people that we've seen in Tier 3 for a very long time and hanging around the grassroots. And it's difficult to say with full confidence that you see them making it into the 2nd tier just because of how difficult it is to, you know, get that run or group of players together. But I think they finally found it here under this organization, and I can only hope that they do well. Yeah,
I'm for number 4, I'm going to put in Requiem as well, mate. I just think that... What?
This is just far too civil. This is just far too civil.
Well, do you know what? This year, like for this split, I decided that I wasn't going to go for like the wildest picks and what I could see.
Okay.
I decided that I would actually be a human being for once. But like, I just don't know, man. I think like, see, honestly, from like probably 4th to 6th, like these 3 teams, I mean maybe even 4th to 8th, like could easily interchange, and I just think that like the top 3, I have no other way of seeing it the way it is with Apeks, OnlyFins and Sweet and Sour.
I think at the same time, as we do come into this top 3 here, which, you know, from what we've seen already so far, Ianto even himself tweeted out a top 3 which did contain 2 of these 3 teams, and obviously himself in the mix there as well. The only one that I can see possibly changing quite a lot is OnlyFins, and I'm gonna slot them in at 3rd place here as well. And that is because they brought Ale in on Duelist. I maybe even would have favoured them to take a gamble, so to speak, on Demiurge instead, rather than someone like Ale, who, for those who don't know, was on the HSD team, which already finished 3rd in the first split of 2023. Ended up falling off towards, you know, like the latter stages of that year of competition. HSD fell apart. They got rid of Lear. You know the rest. He's coming into a duelist role, and you know, falling into the place of Limper, who was a bit hot and cold, kind of like we said. But all in all, had a really good split, and I think it's kind of unfortunate we lose him. Biggest talking point that we can make about that change, though, is that this is a pivot away from being a fully finished team. It's not only Finns anymore. It's 4 Finns and a Swede.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I do feel sorry for Limpy. They did have, like, it's just like, I think OnlyFins are in such a great spot where finishing 3rd last split, if they feel as if one of those players or one of those like positions in the team is at a weakness, there is no reason why they shouldn't be trying to like gain advantages moving in towards moving in towards the 2nd split, because they could be in play-ins, and that's a huge bolster for that roster, who are obviously trying to attract organizations representation. So like it's a cutthroat business at the end of the day, and you can understand why OnlyFins did it.
Stage after stage as well, that's the thing. Look, you make playoffs, you have a chance to make the final, and as long as you make that final with a lower bracket as well to give you an extra safety net, then you're top 2 and you're into play-ins. So genuinely, you don't even need to think about Apeks. I don't think that's going to be on the mind of a lot of these teams anyway in terms of competitiveness, but for one of them, it will be sweet and sour. So that's where I'm going to finish this one out. They'll place in 2nd. I think, again, I can potentially see them dropping off and making way for other names that have, you know, come through with improvements of their own. They're still without a coach. There's plenty of work to be done there, and improvements that they can do to their overall game, because in terms of shooting back, some of the best aimers that I think we have in this league, and sort of the intelligence to take the right fights at certain times as well. Tempo. I said before, look, maybe this wasn't going to be his chance and that he jumped the gun at an opportunity to land on a roster like this, but I couldn't have got it any more wrong. I think the guy has found his place perfectly, and he's almost like the antidote which offsets the rest of some of the personalities that you have on this team. He's the composure which they really need to be successful. And look, I hope that maybe even an organization's going to be sweeping in to try and sign them off as well, because Apeks, top. Not much more really to be said of that one. They didn't lose a single map, and that doesn't happen, you know, without any reason, right? I don't expect it to be completely flawless in this 2nd split, and for their sake, I think they'll probably be hoping the same, because you need to be tested a little bit before Ascension coming up.
I think honestly, Sweet and Sour have like such a high skill ceiling, but they also, like, we've already seen issues last split where the consistency wasn't there, and that's where I kind of put a question mark on the 2nd, because I expect that or not expect, but I can see an issue where they have that drop off like they did last time. I mean, this time round, though, there'll be a lot more straightforward like run in. There's not going to be as many breaks as what we had last time from checking the calendar that we have. And then as for Apeks, like, I hope Sweet and Sour can actually go and challenge them, provide issues. I was speaking to Ticey after they lost the grand final, and he said that he thinks that, like, it's just an experience issue. Like, those guys, you've got to remember, that was their first split in Challengers, and they overachieved massively. So I don't think I need to comment on Apeks. I think it's a matter of getting the job done, being as professional as always, and getting themselves into Ascension and looking forward from there. I hope that Sweet and Sour or someone else can be an issue, but I just can't see it being the case.
Yeah, I think I can definitely see them farming a lot of these other teams as well, though. With the added loss in there, like as you said, there's always the potential that this sort of top cut, and even a team like Formulation that I've put in 7th with Demi could just look 10 times better, right? Metasport have the potential. Maybe they swap with someone else. There's always one roster that ends up just having a really shit time, and you know, it could be technically anyone from 2nd to 8th that we've put in here, really, because there's not a world where that is Apeks. But yeah, like the big thing, as you said, is just working on what you've already got, making the improvements that you can, and setting yourself up to be successful. Consistency is never a thing. You don't have time in these leagues to build upon anything. You've got to go with what you've got, and that's what we've both got. So actually, yeah, this is probably the most relaxed one of these we've ever done in record speed. Please weigh in the comments section, on Twitter as well, X, whatever you want to call it. I'll be leaving links around in the replies so you can make a tier list of your own. Please feel free to share that with us. We've been on a bit of a tight time frame coming out of our own personal holiday breaks, but we're back, we're ready, we're raring to go for what should be a promising second split, Cairo. Any final thoughts?
I'll see you guys next week.
Perfect. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell. You know what to do. And we'll see you all then. Bye-bye.